Now, when it comes to human cloning, most people believe that there is a unique expectation when it comes to the child. Gregory Pence argues this objection in his article, Will Cloning Harm People? He says that the word cloning is a very bad word and relation towards the science fiction of it all, and it's no longer a good term to use. He said that a better phrase or neutral phrase for it would be somatic cell nuclear transfer, or for short SCNT. Now, this basically says that the process of the new human embryo is transferred to a nucleus of another egg, and this result ends up being that there will be a baby who eventually will be delayed in the twin of its genetic ancestor. Now, someone that disagrees with this is Daniel Callahan. He believes that many medical breakthroughs are unethical because they don't know if it's going to hurt the first patient in the process or not. And with that, a few decades later, he also said that human cloning was unethical because we live in a world where we all love science and technology. Another person that disagreed with Pence was Leon Cass, who is a social conservative. He said that it doesn't matter how many times you test a baby in the womb, they'll never be sure if the baby is going to be born with a defect or not. Now, both critics believe that in life, nothing is risk-free. Even if babies end up healthy, doesn't mean that they're going to turn out to the people that everyone wants them to be or hopes. Now, Pence argues back, without some risk, there's no progress. If the baby is born with a fatal disease as a result, that shouldn't mean that people should stop having children in the process of life. That shouldn't hold them back. Now, if someone did end up wanting the SCNT procedure, it would basically cost a hefty amount of money. Each time or per attempt, it would cost around $8,000, which is a lot of money. And he's basically saying that, hey, if you have the money, why not do it? Why not try it? And for most people, human cloning stems from the ignorance and fear of the perfect race. And he argues that there are people in the world that have 7 babies in the womb and are created by 2 randomly chromosomes, and those are the same people that are deliberately fearful of creating copies of the same genome once or over time. And he gives an example of how people that drive a car every day is more dangerous than having the new form of human reproduction, because many are injured and are in car accidents and are killed every day, yet few still consider not driving. So he thinks that's a little bizarre. He believes that once there's enough evidence to prove that there's no dangers in SCNT, the real question comes in the fact of, well, how safe is it for humans to use? He knows that 40% of the human embryos fail to reach human reproduction, and 50% are rejected, which are the ones that are the chromosomally abnormal, which means that if they had ended up reaching or being planted in, that the child would come out and suffer from a genetic dysfunction. And since animal tests still don't show that it's safe yet for SCNT, they're continuing to perform tests every day on lambs, cattle, and non-human primates. Now, Pence believes that the critic standards are way too high because only God can create the perfect Olympian of all humans. The idea of physicians also trying to help infertile couples is way too high as well. Now, if this was in the past and the standards were placed way too high, then no form of assisted reproduction would have been allowed. If the standards were and are placed too low for SCNT or assisted reproduction, then practically every child would be born with fetal alcohol syndrome, and nobody wants that. The critics also bring up the topic of psychological harm, that if the child is born from the SCNT procedure, that it's not like choosing a car or a house. They have to be careful and focus on what's right for the child. It's like cloning Tom Brady and hoping he's the exact same as the old one, but is completely different, and now everyone hates him and it's going to end up causing stress for him. And Pence argues back with not many parents, many parents believe and assume bad motives and the worst in people. Many couples are fatalistic and just accept what's thrown at them. And he believes the predictions of SCNT are very exaggerated and are just people who are irrational and are fearful of the unknown. But once proven that the procedure is safe all around and the thought of harmful will go away, it could potentially have many benefits for children in the future.